Alex Edquist is the co-founder and CEO of Good Agriculture, a startup that supports regenerative farmers with business services. Alex's professional background includes senior and managerial positions in business management and analytics at McKinsey and Atlanta Committee for Progress. At Good Agriculture, she drives innovation to back farmers with top-tier financial, accounting, and marketing services.
Hello, FinTech builders and leaders. That is God's Grit and the FinTech podcast. And I'm Vasyl from INSART. And this is the show for strong-minded entrepreneurs who are not afraid to transform the financial industry, who are not afraid to take the risk, to get the rewards, and build the better financial future. And let me welcome Alex Edquist from Good Agriculture. So, Alex, nice having you today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and Alex, so let's start. Actually, can you tell us how did you come to be a founder, and what's your background?
Yeah, so I'll kind of give the origin story behind this whole thing, and it's might be a little longer than normal because we are a fintech company, but we are also an agriculture company, and so it'll probably be helpful for me to lay some groundwork about some of the challenges farmers face and why an industry-specific need exists here in the fintech space. So before I was a founder, I worked for a long time as a management consultant. So I was at McKinsey and Company in their data and analytics practice, doing half normal strategy consulting stuff, but then also half leading technical teams to build AI solutions for clients. And the consulting is super fun because you get to do, lots of different things and get a very broad experience. The challenge is you pour your heart and soul into these projects, and then after 3 to 6 months, you have to leave and you don't get to see the end of the story. And that gets hard after a while. So the reason why I left to start a company was I wanted something that was my own. And then when it was kind of time to think about what I was going to do, so now to take a separate step, I want to introduce this concept called regenerative agriculture. So it's this way of farming where the farmer cultivates the whole ecosystem rather than just 1 or 2 cash crops. And it's amazing from a environmental benefit, from a health benefit. So it helps sequester carbon and reverse climate change. The food is more nutrient dense. It avoids a lot of these problematic chemicals that cause health issues. It's better for biodiversity. It's just amazing for a lot of reasons. So I am not a farmer, but I have been buying from regenerative farmers my whole adult life. And when I was leaving consulting, there was academic research coming out showing that regenerative farmers could also be more profitable because basically you save so much money on all these chemical inputs that you come out ahead. And then when you look at that, you're like, okay, well, the farmer makes more money. It's better for the planet. It's better for humans. Like, it seems like everybody should be doing this, right? Like, it seems like such an obvious win-win-win. But what you see is actually almost nobody is. So that kind of became the problem I got obsessed with.
So why not? Why nobody does that?
Yeah. So there's a couple of reasons. And so the first one is what we are working on, which is regenerative is more complicated. It is more time consuming for you as the farmer. And the problem is farmers are small business people. And so they're already doing everything themselves that goes into running a business. And so the other founders listening to this will understand all the things that go into running a business. And it's just a lot of work. So if you're already working like 80 hours a week and you're like, hey, there are these practices you could adopt that might make you a little bit more profitable, but they're going to like increase the amount of time you have to spend on this. The farmer's just like, I don't have time for this. Like, I literally don't. Like, I just can't. And so my co-founder, who is a farmer and struggling with this exact problem, and I started Good Agriculture to take the business admin tasks, including the financial management, off the farmer's plate so that they have more time to farm. The other barriers, so one, there's a financial barrier. So these practices tend to require different equipment than the way most people do farming. And also, if you're trying to shift your farm, there's a little bit of a J curve where the first year or two, you're probably going to have a lower yield because your soil is like getting back in shape, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then longer term, you benefit and your profitability goes up, but like navigating that downturn financially is really hard because farmers are already have a ton of debt, very slim profit margins. And so that's like not something that they can handle themselves. Um, so that's another reason why we founded Good Agriculture, because there's a ton of money out there to help farmers navigate this transition, but these programs can be really hard to apply for and like not they're not advertised well. So the farmer uptake on them is not great. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we launched the company. And that's kind of the origin story of all this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, in few words, what would be the solution for this problem for the farmers? So, I'm trying to solve like the holistic problem of financial management from all the perspectives for the farmers. So, what is your solution to that?
Yeah. So basically, we are building a software platform that does all of these tasks for the farmer. So we are a tech enabled services company that does farmers' financials and then also helps them find and apply to all this funding out there. Those are the two things we do. Um,
Mhm.
and to be clear, we are not a pure SaaS model where it's like, here, farmer, here's some software for you to do it better yourself. Because again, the farmers don't have time. And they also tend not to be people who like to sit on side typing on their computers. Like they like to be outside. So we
Yeah.
just do it for them and make it really easy for them.
So yeah, it's totally makes sense. So we're seeing different financial management solutions specifically tailored for the specific category of industries like the farming industry that you
Mhm.
describe. So my question is, how do you differentiate yourself from the more generic, maybe more generic financial management solutions comparing to what you provide to farmers?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, and the answer is agriculture is a really weird industry where all of the regulations are just slightly different enough that a generalist solution like a QuickBooks or a Bench doesn't work great for farmers. So it's possible to make those solutions work. Like there are farmers who've customized the hell out of their QuickBooks and they make it work.
Mhm.
But for the average farmer who is not a financial whiz or doesn't have like 100 hours to do that, they're not wonderful solutions. So, like for example, farmers file different tax forms than other small businesses, and a lot
Mhm.
of regular, even just like regular accountants and bookkeepers, just like don't know that. So we actually get a lot of customers
Mhm.
from these other platforms where they're like, "Hey, like I was using someone else, but they didn't know agriculture. They messed up my chart of accounts. They filed the wrong tax forms, and I have to pay this big fine. And I like help me fix this."
Mhm.
So that's why we thought there was something ag specific that was needed here.
So I talked recently with another fintech startup, and they do the grant management for the non-profits, which
Nice.
seems like they're solving maybe like similar problem, but for non-profits, because non-profits again they need to follow many different regulations
Yeah.
related to grant management. So you can't use just QuickBooks or generic software. So you need something that is specifically tailored to them. So you mentioned that you're not just a pure SaaS model company. So why you're not the just why can't you do just a pure SaaS model here?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the challenge is really around adoption and churn. So
Hmm.
before we started this company, I talked to hundreds of farmers about what their needs were, and they made it really clear like 90% of them don't want another piece of software they have to manage themselves. And my co-founder is a farmer and has dealt with this same thing of like, she was a data scientist before she's a farmer, so she's like as like technically savvy as it gets, and like is great on computers, obviously.
Okay.
But when she started her farm, she tried to like set up all these sophisticated analytics tools, and then basically got back to like the only thing that works is the notepad on the tractor seats. That is all I can
Hmm.
manage out here. And so if you're going to ask me to like come in at the end of the day and do a bunch more work, like typing something into a computer, like I'm just not going to do it. Um, and so we know that the choice we made to be a tech-enabled services company is tougher from like it's harder for us to raise money, for example. But it's really
Hmm.
what the customer needs. And we have had so our product's been in the market for a full year now. So like March 1st was our anniversary date, and we've had
Hmm.
no churn, like literally zero, which is very unusual.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Alex, can you tell us, please, where do you stand from the your traction perspective, and what have you achieved so far as a startup? And if you can also tell us, so who are your partners, co-founders, maybe other team members? So where do you stand here?
Yeah. So I mentioned my co-founder a few times. Her name is Kirsten Simmons, and she is amazing. So she's like the big idea person on the team. She, is out in the field herself and with other farmers, and just like really knows what is needed in this industry. And then, we'll get together, and she's like, I think we need this. And then I'm kind of
Mhm.
the executor on the team who's like, okay, I can take this amazing idea you've had and like turn it into like an actual product people can buy. And so we
Mhm.
work really well from that perspective. And we have a few other awesome teammates who help build the product and then also do the day-to-day delivery for the farmers. Um, and as far as where we are today, so we're quite early stage. We've been in the market for a year. We have 30 farmers that we're working with. And one
Mhm.
thing that's cool is they are very diverse in terms of where they are, what they're growing, and how big they are. So we've kind of proven the product works no matter whether you've got like dairy cows or fruit trees or row crops or all of the above, which a lot of our
Okay.
customers do. Like the farmers we're working with are so cool. Like a lot of them are extraordinary farmers. Like they've got like literally their own science labs on the farm, or
Mhm.
they're trying to pioneer like new ways of growing that adapt to climate. And what we do is just like take some of the busy work off their plate so they can focus on what they're extraordinary at, which is really fun for us. And like I said, we've had no
Mhm.
churn. We're up to a few $1,000s in MRR, so we're really excited about the progress we're making.
That's interesting. So, what kind of farm have you got with your co-founder? So, what is that more specifically?
Yeah, so her farm is actually a you pick strawberry farm in City of Atlanta limits.
Hmm.
So it's obviously a great market, 6 million people in the metro area, and she's got the only no spray. Um, she definitely has the only no spray, like no chemical you pick strawberries in the area. But I think she may also just have like the only no spray strawberries, period, in the metro area.
Yeah, that's cool. So you can actually you can actually have the experience, the same experience as all your potential clients may have, and you can experiment with a kind of value proposition that you provide to your
Yeah,
clients with
exactly.
having your farm as well.
Yeah. Actually, we have a
Okay.
couple of farmers on the team, and all of them are also customers.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Um, Alex, so how do you envision what would be your goals for the next maybe several months, half a year going forward? So, what the major objective on your plate right now?
Yeah, so it's two big things. So one, our tech at this point is kind of at the duct tape and string MVP stage of like, let's build something cheap and make sure people will pay us for it, and kind of figure out the logic and the value proposition. And so we've done that, and then the next thing we need to do is actually like go build the productionized software version of what we do today. So we
Mhm.
are raising some money. We will use that to hire a tech lead, and then we will go build the next version that can handle. We're at like 30 farmers today. We want to get to a couple hundred within the next 12 to 18 months, and we'll need the next version of the software to be able to handle that. Um, the other thing that's really exciting is we won an SBIR grant to prototype a operational analysis tool for farmers. So I mentioned my co-founder, who's a
Mhm.
data scientist, who really wants to know all this data about her farm, but the dirty notepad on the tractor seat is the only thing she has to collect her data. So out of all the farmers we know exactly two who collect and input their data regularly, where they'll like write it
Mhm.
down during the day and then type it in at night. But obviously, most folks are not going to do that because it's super time consuming. So, what we're going to prototype is a voice to text tool where a farmer can narrate into their smartphone what they are doing in the field and what they are observing. And then that will intelligently get put into a database and then into a front end where a farmer can actually see and then use their data. So we're
Mhm.
super excited about, bringing data analytics to smaller farmers who don't have access to the kind of equipment that will collect their data for them.
Yeah, so this is a very typical problem, the data entry problem
Yeah.
for non-techie users and clients. So, and the solution is really looks like really great here. Okay, Alex. So thank you very much for sharing all this information and your journey with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and for everybody watching us, I encourage you to visit goodagriculture.com, and you will have the link below this video. And it was me, Vasyl from INSART, and Alex Edquist from Good Agriculture. Thank you, and let's keep building fintech together. Bye-bye.
Still watching us and have not subscribed yet? Let's fix this. Also, don't forget to like this video and take a look at the other episodes we have. See ya!